Hello again. Now for part 3. We have the Helluva Boss review as of yet. We left off with season 2, episode 1, Circus. That's where I talked about Stolla's backstory, as well as the start of his relationship with Splits. Now we go on to episode 2, Seeing Stars. Like what season 1, episode 2, Blue Land. This one starts off with Octavia as a small owlet and her father are making a vow to see Astaroth's tears, which is a meteor shower, I guess. Cut to years later, or immediately after the events of Circus, as Stolas is on the phone with Stella, pretty much chewing her out, getting all of her stuff out of his house. I was telling the movers, break anything you want. Tired of the constant fighting, and Octavia sneaks an IMP and take the grimoire in order to see the stars. In the meantime, we go to IMP where Luna is having a tantrum on Blitz due to the fact that he thinks she's not doing a good enough job. Meanwhile, Moxie is kicking back watching this with glee. Octavia manages to sneak into IMP headquarters, takes the grimoire, and says she wants to see the stars. The book teleports her to Los Angeles, of all places. And sorry if you're from there watching this, but even you gotta admit that this episode kind of hit Hollywood on the head with the way it's turned out. But Stolas gets involved with IMP in order to get Octavia back. And we find out that not only can Luna turn into a human form, but so can Stolas. And his human form actually looks pretty decent. Blitz gets mistaken and for his voice actor, is hauled away to a recording studio. Oh, meanwhile, Moxie keeps getting sidetracked and purchasing art. Meanwhile, Luna goes up in order to find Octavia. Now, this episode kind of backtracks every now and then. But when we get into Blitz performing in front of a live audience again, since the last time he actually performed in front of an audience was with Fizzaroli. And during one scene, we actually see a flashback go through his head, and which goes back to when he first met Luna, which actually answered a pretty good question I had. And, okay, we saw Stolas' backstory. Now, what about Luna? Well, as it turns out, Luna was around 18 when Blitz adopted her. The head of a hellhound on the pound, kind of an interesting rhyme, said that she didn't have much long left at the pound, and that she wouldn't amount to anything. And at that point, Blitz pretty much adopted her. And in front of the entire audience, he kind of snaps at one of the actors. or it's long story short, the studio gets set on fire. Or Luna has a heart-to-heart talk with Octavia about their father issues. Those father and daughter reunite, and then everybody goes back home. As for Millie and Moxie, they're kind of tagging behind. And as Moxie's collected so much junk, it's visibly pissing off Millie. Speaking of which, episode 3, season 2, has another question I've has answered. We met at Millie's family. Now what about Moxie? As it turns out, while Millie is from the Ring of Wrath, Moxie is from the Ring of Greed. And his family, unlike Millie's, is more well off, shall we say. He actually comes from a mafia family. His father, Crimson, also voiced by Richard Horvitz, is sort of like a Godfather character in the episode, who doesn't have to take any nonsense from anyone. And he it's Moxie, Millie, Blitz, and Blitz. That's to his mansion, and for some unknown reason. Not only that, but he's also invited, and get this, Millie and Moxie's ex Jazz, who is a shark-like demon. Yeah, you heard me right. This guy is not only Millie's ex, but also Moxie's. And we find out exactly how that is. After everybody else leaves, Crimson makes his son stay so he can have a father-son talk. Now, I have to bring this up, because if I don't, somebody's going to point this out. Moxie's relationship with his father is not a good one, for a number of reasons. One of them being Moxie is kind of sensitive. His father, hard as nails, no nonsense, and sick and twisted an individual. In order to bring money into their family, he wants to marry Moxie off to Chaz, who apparently he's inherited a vast fortune, or something like that. And Moxie then starts recalling all the things that happened during his childhood. And we actually get to see his mother, who, unlike Crimson, is very sweet, very loving, and caring. Wanting Moxie to do kind of the opposite of what his father wanted him to do. That is until one particular scene. You know what scene I'm talking about. If not, here we go. It involves Crimson and Moxie bringing someone into the middle of a lake to dump them. Now, I know we've all heard about this sort of thing going on in mafia movies, and shows, as well as it kind of being a stereotype in mafia circles. But this one kind of struck me in the wrong way, especially since it's implied that Crimson and may have had something to do with his wife's disappearance. Especially since we see her shoe float up to the surface of the water. I and many others who have seen this episode have agreed that she's dead. There's no way she's alive. And if somehow she did survive, she's not going to be alive for very much longer, because Crimson will hire someone and to kill her. Not only that, cut back to the present, Crimson even threatens Moxie that if he stands up to him again, he's going to make sure that him and Millie, they get buried 6 feet under. Blit and sneaks out over the mansion after a night with Chaz, as kind of find out what's up with this guy. And he finds some pretty interesting dirt on him. Unfortunately, he gets knocked out and locked in the trunk. Cut to the next day, Moxie tries to stand up to his father again, telling him that I don't care what you say, hey, I am not marrying this creep. To which his father has him knocked out and forced to marry Chaz. Millie, he manages to find Blitz, and before Crimson's goons was trying to take her out, he kills them first. And it's like a scene right out of Shrek 2. And they even reference it. As Millie definitely lives up to her rap after ring lineage. Taking out everyone. And as she and Moxie and Blitz get away in a helicopter, Blitz lets it known that Chaz does not have any money. He never had any money, and was just using them in order to get to Moxie. And I love it when the bad guy gets poetic justice coming to them, because we see a stone cold look on Crimson's face as he just glares at Chaz as when he realizes this. We don't see him again until the end of the episode, where he's hanging up a set of shark teeth on the wall, implying that, he pretty much killed Chaz and took his teeth. Although, I have to ask, Chaz is pretty much a shark, so he can just regrow his teeth. But seeing as Crimson him as a godfather or mob boss, this guy ain't coming back, especially after he lied into Crimson. And the episode ends with Moxie's father swearing vengeance on IMP, meaning he'll make a good comeback later on in the series, hopefully. Now, before we go on to the final episode, as of right now, this one's going to contain major spoilers. Once again, if you don't want anything spoiled, click off this video. If you're okay with spoilers, I'll continue. Season 2, episode 4, starts with Stolas at a coffee shop with his now ex, Stella, and Stella's brother, Androphilus, whom, by the way, I've seen in numerous fan arts of Helluva Boss, as well as some sneak peek video clips on YouTube. And for or months, I've been wondering, okay, when is this guy going to show up? Because he looks official. And yeah, during his screen time, he's very conniving. And even have Stella advice. Just then, Stella gets captured by Stryker, who takes him back to Wrath in order to take him out, as per Stella's command. Stella ends up calling Blitz for help, who is already busy at the moment bringing Luna to get her Helby's shot. I gotta say, poor Luna out of this episode. My family has 4 dogs, and yeah, dog owners can agree. Nobody wants to have their dogs get their shots because they do not want to go to the vet, but they have to for their own good. And throughout a majority of this episode, Luna is visibly terrified and petrified, to which it's almost kind of cute in a way. I don't know why it seems adorable to me, and that Luna is being and so scared, when in other episodes she's had this punkish attitude. But anyway, Stryker hijacks the phone from Stolas and pretty much lets Blitz know that he's going to take out Stolas this once and for all. So, because Blitz can't get away from this appointment and with Luna and the doctor, he sends Millie and Moxie over to Wrath in order to retrieve Stolas. And this is where the episode kind of cuts into the two plots, with Millie and Moxie going after Stolas and Stryker, and Blitz at the hospital trying to get Luna to get her shots. And I have to ask, which ring of hell is he in this episode? Because the receptionist, incredibly slow. Doctor, slow. Anywho, turns out Stryker has a theme song, which he doesn't like being played by this miniature mariachi band, which I find kind of funny, almost kind of a tribute to Rango. In those old Western films. And just as he's about to kill Stolas, as he receives a phone call from Stella telling them that she needs him alive. Because Androphilus tells her that even though once Stolas is dead, everything and that's his doesn't go to her, but instead goes to their daughter. Yeah, she didn't think that one through, did she? But at the time of the call, Stryker pretty much stabs Stolas kind of in a fatal spot. And in case you were wondering, why doesn't Stolas just break out and escape? Well, Stryker ends up having a holy lasso. And as we all know, holy weaponry is very effective towards those who reside in hell. Now, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I will say this. I've seen many webcomics involving Stolas in the hospital, on him and Blitz interacting, as well as him and Octavia interacting, and while he's recovering. And it kind of makes me think, is Vivzy looking at these fan-made in comics and getting inspiration, because they're almost dead on. As of yet, this is the last episode of Helluva Boss, but hopefully Has Been Hotel will be airing soon. I've seen the sneak peek clips. I've seen and screenshots of what the series is supposed to look like. Unfortunately, some of the original cast won't be doing this series as a whole, but hopefully we'll get more characters. Until then, this is Demon 091 and signing off.